Most self-realizing day began January 17th, about a week before school started. Prior to this, I was spending a lot of money and I was unemployed but living off of financial aid. And I shared a room with a niece and I paid $200 rent. Now, I knew some winter break had came and I wasn't getting my financial aid, and I was kind of okay with that, a little bit broke, but I knew I had to go speak to go to the financial aid office and talk to them. Now, I had made an appointment, made a day and everything. I get up there and I'm waking up this morning and I'm just like, I don't want to go, because I have this bad feeling like I've been disqualified. And I'm like, I don't want to get a job, I want to be lazy, I want to take the easy way out. So I wake up, my alarm clock goes off, it's annoying, and I drag myself slowly out of bed. I go outside, I make my cup of tea, and I smoke a cigarette. Stalling time, I smoke another cigarette. Just waiting and thinking, I don't want to go, I don't want to have to do errands. So finally I get dressed, I finish what I'm doing, and I head on over to school. I get to the financial aid office, and I'm thinking, God, please don't be the bitch that works at the front desk, because she never answers any of my questions. I open the door, and sure enough, she's the only one in the office. So I'm already frustrated. I already know I'm not going to get the answer I want, or even be able to get a question out of my mouth before she cuts me off. So I walk up, the office is completely empty, and I'm the only one. As I get to the desk, she's sitting there, completely blank. And I'm just like, I just came to look at the status of my financial aid. And so she looks at me, she's like, yeah. And I was like, oh, well, here's my ID number, and I give her all the information. She's like, okay. And then I was like, so what's going on? When will be the next disbursement? And she tells me, oh, you're disqualified. And I was like, oh, okay. And I kind of expected that. And then I asked her, well, why? And she goes, I don't know. But at that point, I had, I had plans to move out. I had had no job, I was going to depend on my financial aid, and I had been disqualified. Where I was living, I had already given them notice, and I had 2 weeks to leave, pretty much. I had 2 weeks left at the place I was staying. So, as she's sitting there, blank, rude as ever, I'm like holding in my tears, like, I am fucked. I can't pay for my books. I can't afford my phone bill. I can't afford rent. I can't afford to move into the place I was hoping to move into. So I walk out of the office and I start bawling. Like, what am I going to do? There's no way I'm going to find a job fast enough. I am so screwed. So I call my mom. I run over to Starbucks and I call my mom, and I'm hysterical. And my mom answers the phone. Keep in mind, my mom is this weird hippie who's telling me, think positive, visualize. I don't want to hear it. I've heard that all my life, and that's the last thing I want to hear. I was hoping my mom was like, oh, here's a few bucks, go buy your books, but no. So I'm calling my mom, and I'm like, Mom! She can't even understand a word that's coming out of my mouth. And she goes into this whole spiel how I need to grow up, and how if I want to act like an adult, I need to, if I want to be treated like an adult, I need to act like an adult. So she's going on, and I'm crying, and I'm hysterical, and I kind of just hang up the phone. I don't even hear what she's saying, because that's the last person you want to listen to, usually is your mom, because they're right. So I get on the computer and I just start filling out job apps like crazy, sending in my resume to any place I can, because I know that I'm screwed. And so about an hour after I'm sending in my resumes, I get a call, and this office tells me, well, do you think you can come in for an interview today at 4 o'clock? So I have about an hour to run to the interview, get dressed, and I'm thinking, okay, I can. So I get to the interview, I'm a mess. And I do my interview, and it goes okay. I wasn't happy with it. I get home, I start relaxing, I lay down in bed, and I get a phone call saying that I had got the job. And I was so happy, and I start the next day. And I was surprised that it had worked out so well for me. And as I'm laying in bed before I go to sleep, I realized that I had become a dependent person, and not independent. I had depended on financial aid to get me through school. I had depended on my mom to help me out with little things. And I had realized that I needed to start making a change and doing things for myself. And that is the best day of my life.